quiet room holds the first taste of power. It begins with a held breath, a choice already made. Now, let's listen to the lie take its first step. "You didn't lie to me, did you?" Shen Qing handed the teacup to Jiang Fulai. Jiang Fulai sat on the sofa, taking the new cup emblazoned with Darin Duo Supermarket, and gracefully blew on it before taking a sip. Of course. When it came to bluffing, Jiang Fulai had a knack for it. Just by sitting there, he was as formidable as an army of thousands. So much so that even if he told Shen Qing the sun in the sky was square, she would feel there was some sense to his words. "Good," Shen Qing's eyes darted around, as she started to inquire more about Jiang Fulai. "Zio Jiang, where are you from?" Bai Lion was listening on the side, and it was giving her a headache. "Hey," Shen Qing yelled from inside the door. "Hee, remember to come play with your sister next time." Jiang He, being held by Bai Lion, struggled to turn back to look at Shen Qing. It wasn't until they reached the downstairs that Bai Lion set him down, and Jiang He stared at the several excavators that had just entered the neighborhood for quite a while. Bai Lion didn't go to the library in the afternoon. Ming Dingheng drove to the address she mentioned. It was an old district in the east of the city. He parked the car, and as he looked up, he saw a dilapidated small quadrangle and was taken aback. "This is..." Jiang Fulai also got out of the car and stood in front of the gate, looking at the partially hanging sign, Zingi Martial Arts School. The quadrangle was quite large, probably about 5 or 6 acres, but it was almost suburban, with hardly any passersby. The gate was made of thick red elm, and the 4-door studs had nearly faded, but one could still make out the peonies. The bronze door rings had revealed their true color. Bai Lion stepped onto the stairs and gently tapped the door ring 3 times. No one came to open the door. "Are you looking for Master Jin?" A man passing by on an electric scooter wiped his sweat with a towel and grinned. "He should have gone to work on the construction site by now. Probably won't be back until 10 tonight." Bai Lion already knew from Mao Kun that this martial arts school had closed down, but she had never expected that the owner of the martial arts school would be on a construction site. "Thank you." She lowered her hand and thanked the man. "I want to start the calligraphy association next door." Bai Lion descended the steps, step by step, sharing her idea with Jiang Fulai. "This martial arts school is quite extensive. I've looked it up online." The calligraphy association wouldn't need much space. Jiang Fulai looked up, glancing at the tightly closed door next to the martial arts school. Almost from the moment Ming Dingheng had driven here, he had guessed what Bai Lion had in mind. He led Bai Lion around the area, pointing across the spacious front of the martial arts school. "We can apply for a bus stop here. Transportation is always the most important thing, no matter what." Bai Lion had initially handed the Calligraphy Association entirely over to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, but today she changed her mind. Leaving it to them, the people of Xiangcheng might not have equal opportunity to learn calligraphy. She decided to do it herself, and there was the martial arts school. Bai Lion looked up, her gaze falling upon the hanging sign. She remembered Mao Kun saying that most children these days learn taekwondo or judo, and Ning Xiao mentioned that Muay Thai was also popular. She withdrew her gaze. A martial arts school? Bai Lion was not used to typing on a computer, so Jiang Fulai sat in the car, pulled out his laptop, opened a document, and began typing on the keyboard one-handed to help her draft the business plan. What else? The laptop rested casually on his knees, his pale fingers against the black keyboard. Occasionally, he would turn his head and listen attentively to Bai Lion's ideas. After finishing, he also sent it to Jiang Ziju to brainstorm. When Jiang Ziju, who was decisive in financial circles, thought Jiang Fulai had sent him some crucial document, he interrupted a meeting to return to his office to check, only to find a regional calligraphy association and martial arts hall plan. And in a situation where Qiu Zuzhang, the adversary, was at his wit's end, he soon received a business plan that could be described as perfect. At the Ren family home, Jai Sheorong looked at the gift thrown outside by Ren Wangshuan and couldn't help pressing his forehead. He was used to it by now. Whenever Ren Wangshuan lost her temper, she liked to throw things around, regardless of whether they were gifts from him or from Ren Kayan. She had tossed them all into the trash can, but Ren Kayan's way of raising a daughter was to pamper her with wealth. He saw no problem with it. Ren Wongshuan was raised by Ren Kaiyan, and it was not Jai Sheorong's place to intervene. Sometimes when he said too much, the Secretary General would accuse him of trying to take advantage of the Ren family. Not even Ren Jiawei could intervene. Jai Sheorong picked up the gift with a heavy heart. On his way downstairs, he saw the Secretary General coming in from outside. They never got along, and their antipathy had become even more evident in the recent years. But today, the Secretary General did not have the time to mock him. He went upstairs with a pale face to find Ren Kaiyan. As soon as he entered the study, a teacup came smashing his way. Zion Cheng belongs to the Ren family, and you dare to say that? Ren Kaiyan couldn't believe what he was hearing from the Secretary General. That Mr. Su is a fool, but you've been in this position for so many years and still can't see clearly. The Secretary General had never made such a big blunder before. Mainly because of those people from the Jai family, he had never taken them seriously. Old Master Ren, I had no idea they actually knew Mr. Chen. Whether they know Mr. Chen or not, I'm asking how you dared to utter those words. Ren Kaiyan had never been so furious, and after some time, he collapsed into his chair, looking a decade older. I am now suspended for half a month. The Secretary General's head was buzzing. Go tell Wongshuan. Ren Kaiyan had done nothing wrong all these years and wasn't afraid of being investigated. Tell her that she won't be able to join the Calligraphy Association. As for Minister Su, he had committed too many wrongs, and there was no one left to save him. Ren Wongshuan was unaware of the Ren family's troubles. She had already received notification from Qiu Zhujiang that Bai Lion was going to start a separate calligraphy association in a place where birds don't even bother to poop. Ren Wongshuan was initially upset about not being able to join the calligraphy association, but upon hearing this news, she suddenly lost interest in joining. Senior brother, do you still want to join the Jiang Cheng Calligraphy Association? Jiangjing. Jiang Cheng belongs to Baikeng, and the vice president had already announced the news about the founding of the Jiang Cheng Calligraphy Association in the Baikeng Writers Association, encouraging everyone to join as members of Jiang Cheng. The Jiang Cheng Calligraphy Association is hosted by the first prize winner of this year's Lanting Award. This news shook many people in the Baikeng Writers Association, and lots were tempted. I recall that you are also from Jiang Cheng, right? Jian Rong had ideas of his own. Looking at Qiu Boking, Jiang Cheng was ordinary, but this Bai Jian was truly attractive to Calligraphy Association members. The team leader helped me sign up. Jian Rong was holding a registration form. I advise you not to go. I'm already trying to find a way out. Qiu Boking pursed his lips, addressing Jian Rong and others around him. Giving you all a heads up, you know what kind of place Jiang Cheng is. Although she ranked first, she joined only the Jiang Cheng Calligraphy Association, not the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association. And the Jiang Cheng Calligraphy Association is situated in a suburb. The vice president will surely have to send a few people down there. I suggest those of you with connections start looking now, so you don't find yourselves being dispatched there. Joining a newly established junior association, especially one not part of the traditional Calligraphers Association, will make it difficult to leave once you're in. As he spoke, Qiu Boking also sent an application report to Qiu Zhujiang. Everyone looked at each other, knowing the reputation of Jiang Cheng. Those who wanted to go were mostly tempted by Bai Jian's fame, but what use would that fame be if Bai Jian didn't join the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association? Without joining the Calligraphy Association, it's impossible to find top-tier teachers. How can they progress without that? One's career would surely stagnate at that point, with no further development possible. Who isn't striving for the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association? Who wants to be sent to the hopeless Jiang Cheng, poor and nameless? There were no famous teachers, and the only person of note, Qiu Zhujiang from the Baikeng Writers Association, was average at best. She performed exceptionally this time, but without joining the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association, how can she develop without a teacher's guidance? I'll mention it to my grandfather and ask him to talk to the vice team leader. I'm going to apply to withdraw. Jian Rong frowned, abandoning the idea. I have a third-class award, which meets the application criteria for the Jiangjing Calligraphy Association. I'll find a better teacher to instruct me. Brother, Just as he got up, a male student approached from behind. "You're not going, are you? Can you give me the application form?" "You!" Jian Rong looked at the student, recognizing him as his uncle's son, Jian Ji. "Why would you go to Xiangcheng?" His gaze toward Jian Ji was akin to looking at someone with an intellectual disability. Everyone was looking for connections to avoid being sent to Xiangcheng, yet here was someone volunteering to go. "My female buddy." Jian Ji scratched his head. "I want to check out that rock at Xiangcheng No 1 High School. You were chosen by the vice team leader, so it would be awkward for you to withdraw, but it's different for me. Grandfather would certainly not refuse." Mainly because it was only today that Jian Ji saw the work and realized Bai Lian wrote in the Liang style. And the style he studied was also Liang. "Whatever suits you." Jian Rong gave Jian Ji a glance, handing over the registration form. "Then you talk to grandfather yourself. It wasn't me who pressed you." Watching Jian Ji take the registration form, Jian Rong felt as if he had shed a burden, feeling much lighter. Jian Ji, holding the registration form, called his grandfather again. The Jian family valued Jian Rong highly. When they heard that Jian Ji was taking Jian Rong's place in the dismal location, Grandfather Jian naturally agreed readily, without asking any further questions. Jian Ji submitted the list and flew back to Baikeng the next day. After taking a train transfer, he arrived in Xiangcheng dusty and disheveled on Monday afternoon. No one from the Jian family came to pick him up. He wasn't surprised at all, as he never considered himself to be the chosen one by fate. Jian Ji arrived alone at the Calligraphy Association venue, where Qiu Zuzhang was sweeping the floor outside. Seeing him, Qiu Zuzhang looked up and smiled. "Jian Ji, right? Come in first, we have a members' meeting at 6 o'clock. Bai Lian quietly set up a calligraphy association without any opening ceremony or press conference. She personally invited local calligraphers who hadn't taken any exams to join. She wrote the signboard, Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association, with her own hand. Beforehand, Jian Ji had heard from Qiu Boking that the Xiangcheng Calligraphy Association was desolate and rundown, but upon arrival, he found that while the items here were old, they were very quaint. He held up a teacup and took a sip. "Where did this tea come from?" Jian Ji looked up at Qiu Zuzhang, feeling quite strange. "This tea, why does it taste so much like Old Patch's tea? Why do I know it so well?" Because his grandfather sent a tea cake to Jian Rong when she was shortlisted for the Lan Ting Award, and she had boasted about it for a year, even letting Jian Ji try it, and he remembered it distinctly. He even felt that the color of this tea was much better than the one Jian Rong had. "Here," Qiu Zuzhang pointed to a big jar behind him, "brought by student Bai. Do you like it? Take some back with you later. We have limited funds here, only these things." He sighed. Jian Ji stared dumbfoundedly at the large jar placed behind him, and then glanced down at the tea in his hands. That time, Jian Rong had boasted about that tea cake for a long time, with so much of it. Could it really be Old Patch's tea? It was almost 6 o'clock. Bai Lian arrived with Jiang He. She wore her school uniform, carried a bag, tied up her hair, and stepped into the Calligraphy Association hall against the setting sun. "Everyone's here." Qiu Zuzhang led a few old teachers out and then said to Bai Lian, "Today is the first general meeting of all members. Although there are not many people, starting the association will be difficult." Jian Ji sat next to Bai Lian, looking at the few scattered people sitting around the octagonal table. He was beginning to understand what Qiu Boking meant. "Teacher Qiu, wait." Bai Lian was looking down at her English reading when she heard Qiu Zuzhang's words. She lifted her head slightly, her arm lightly resting on the table, legs crossed, the other hand propping her chin as she looked outside. "There's one more person." "Who?" Qiu Zuzhang was startled. He hadn't received any other applications. Just as he was saying that, a tall figure slowly appeared at the doorway in the twilight, holding a cell phone and casually walking along the stone path. Qiu Zuzhang immediately recognized him as the man who had sat next to Bai Lian at the coffee shop. Jian Ji, who was leaning on the table and talking to Bai Lian, straightened up abruptly as he felt the gaze. There were others sitting around the octagonal table who were previously chatting merrily, but they all became tense for some reason upon seeing Jiang Fulai. Jiang Ji moved halfway off his seat, thinking to make room for this big shot. However, before he could stand up, Jiang He, sitting on the other side of Bai Lion, got up in a familiar way and sat down expressionlessly on a stool set to the side. Jiang Ji. Jiang Fulai casually pulled out the chair next to Bai Lion and sat down nonchalantly, greeting everyone at the octagonal table. "Just carry on, I'm just here to listen." He acted as if he was just casually listening. But facing him, how could Qiu Zuzheng be casual? "It's like this, we have a total of 7, 8 initial members." Qiu Zuzheng read from the notebook one by one, and when he got to the end, he hesitated as he looked towards Jiang Fulai. "May I ask?" "Jiang Fulai, the Fulai from Turkic language." Jiang Fulai lightly tapped the tabletop with his fingertips, leaning back lazily in his chair as he announced his full name. Qiu Zuzheng nodded, added the name, and asked, "Is this your first time joining a calligraphy association or a second time?" "Second time joining." Qiu Zuzheng looked surprised again, as he had thought Jiang Fulai, like Bai Lion, was joining for the first time. After all, Jiang Fulai had an aura of elite about him, more like someone in finance or politics, and didn't quite fit the artistic image. Second time joining, he took a sip of tea to ease himself before continuing to write on the paper. "Which calligraphy association were you previously in, and do you have a rank?" "Traditional Calligraphers Association, ranked." Jiang Fulai started lazily, then thought for a moment. "Special grade member, I guess." Qiu Zuzheng, about to take note of Jiang Fulai's information, paused with his pen in shock and looked up. At the 8 immortals table, except for Bai Lion, everyone's gaze subconsciously converged onto Jiang Fulai's face. His face, like Bai Lion's, was too deceptive, not the kind that seemed to belong to someone who would be good at calligraphy. Who would have thought that he would casually mention the Traditional Calligraphers Association? Even a special grade member. There are only 5 total special grade members in the Traditional Calligraphers Association. Besides the president, each of the rest lives a reclusive life. Often only their works are seen, not the person, and even members of the Calligraphy Association hardly see these high-level members. They were now looking at one of them. Next to him, Jiang Ji felt like he had been struck by lightning. He couldn't help but lean in to look at Jiang Fulai, and when he encountered Jiang's light, indifferent eyes, Jiang Ji immediately averted his gaze. "Is there a problem?" After a long silence, Jiang Fulai raised an eyebrow. No." Qiu Zuzheng was shocked as well. Having weathered many storms, he slowly recovered from his amazement. "No problem." His trembling pen tip inscribed the words "special grade" behind Jiang Fulai's name. "You want to take the exam?" Bai Lion turned her head, not understanding the rules here. She slightly tilted her head, quietly asking Jiang Fulai. She was dressed in the simplest school uniform, her profile clean and shallow, her eyebrows and eyes as delicate as a snow-topped floral arbor, the overhead lighting casting a hazy, gentle aura around her. Not only do members need to be ranked, but the associations do as well. Jiang Fulai held a purple clay teapot, leisurely pouring tea into her cup as well as his own. "We only have 8 people now, just a junior association." Every year in June, rankings are conducted for major calligraphy associations. Associations are categorized top-down into Special Grade Association, Senior Association, Intermediate Association, and Junior Association. The entire country has just one Special Grade Association, which is the Traditional Calligraphers Association, and this is one of the reasons that everyone wants to join it. Senior associations are distributed across the 4 major cities. Bai Lion, never having participated in a grading, is currently just a junior member, despite having won the Orchid Pavilion Award. This is the membership fee, there's no password. Before leaving, Jiang Fulai handed a card to Qiu Zuzheng. "She wants to set up a good calligraphy school, this is the startup funding. Additionally, I've already had someone prepare a plan, someone will contact you." Sitting at the 8 immortals table, Qiu Zuzheng looked at the International Bank Vermilion Bird Bank's black card placed in front of him. He questioned his life. "Teacher Qiu," Jiang Ji said, looking at the departing figures of Jiang Fulai and Bai Lion, then back at the black card. "We shouldn't have difficulty becoming a senior association in the future, right?" Qiu Zuzheng was also in a daze. Should. Should be able to, I guess. He felt certain that Bai Lion would be able to make it to special grade member. As for a special grade association, that would only appear in Jiangjing, something they hadn't really considered. Of course, Jian Ji and Qiu Zuzhang at the moment didn't know that these two were not only extraordinary themselves, but they were most remarkable when teaching, especially Bai Lion, who could even replicate Liang Ziyuan's teaching methods perfectly in calligraphy. Qiu Zuzhang took a deep breath and took out his phone to send a message to Vice President Kaiyan. If they don't want to come, then don't force them. On the other side, when Vice President Kaiyan said that he would not send anyone to Xiancheng, both Jian Rong and Qiu Boking breathed a sigh of relief, especially Qiu Boking, who originally thought that Qiu Zuzhang would pressure him. He didn't expect not to receive a single word from Qiu Zuzhang. Meanwhile, Yangfu residential area. A man in a shirt with a cigarette clamped in his hand, tattoos peeking through his tank top up to his neck, followed by 4 large excavators. No one here is signing. Boss Lu, mainly because of a painter. His subordinate carefully lit his cigarette for him. The household at 7 Building, 601, Jai Sheijun. He's educated and highly respected here. He seems to have noticed the loopholes in the contract and has prevented people here from signing. As he spoke, the subordinate also handed a stack of files to Boss Lu. Yangfu residential area is located in the development zone, a piece of cake everyone wants to get their hands on. Here live ordinary people, and the agreement for demolition provided by Boss Lu had loopholes. It was originally thought that deceiving these solitary elderly would be quite easy, but unexpectedly, not a single person had signed. Upon investigation, 7 Building, 601 was the cause of it all. Everyone in the residential area followed the painter's advice. "Let's go," Boss Lu said, biting his cigarette and glancing at the files. Just an ordinary painter, a housewife full of pretense. It was nearly 8 o'clock. When they arrived, Jai Sheijun was washing dishes, and Shen Qing, upon seeing Boss Lu with his tattoo of a ferocious python and bared arms, involuntarily stepped back. Old Jai. Shen Qing, Jai Sheijun, right? Mr. Lu sat down in the chair his subordinate had moved over, tilting his head slightly. The subordinate immediately handed Shen Qing a card. Mr. Lu, clenching a cigarette between his teeth, smiled. "There's 1 million in here. As long as you get the people here to sign the relocation contract, the 1 million is yours." They had conducted a thorough investigation. Jai Sheijun was known for his integrity, but Shen Qing was a petty bourgeois. 1 million, enough to buy a soul. 1 million? Shen Qing's eyes widened upon hearing this, staring at the card. For an ordinary person, this was a fortune. Shen Qing had never seen so much money. Without even blinking, Jai Sheijun returned the card to Mr. Lu. "We won't do such a thing," Mr. Lu laughed. He looked deeply at Shen Qing and then waved his hand. "Let's go." After the men had left, Jai Sheijun slammed the door shut and frowned at Shen Qing. "Don't even think about it." Tuesday. Yang Lin had been coming to school regularly these past few days. Bai Lion took out the books one by one, pondering how to discuss the matter of moving the household registration with her. Unlike the others, Yang Lin always avoided contact with people. "Lion!" Ziohan twirled her finger in front of her, looking at Bai Lion. "That!" Bai Lion looked up, her eyes reflecting the morning sun, appearing rather charming. "Speak." "Oh," Ziohan said, looking at Bai Lion, "I'm a self-media practitioner. Of course, I'm still at the starting stage. I want to post your school anniversary video on my account. Can I do a little blurring?" Zhang Shais, who had just arrived in the classroom, felt dizzy. He strode in with long legs. "Ziohan, can you talk slower? Who can understand you? I didn't even catch a breath." He had barely finished speaking. Bai Lion leaned back. "Go ahead, post it." She had no objections to this matter. She wasn't very clear on self-media, but it was hard for her to refuse Ziohan's request. Zhang Shais, "You're so nice," Ziohan exclaimed, about to hug Bai Lion. But she was stopped by Bai Lion with a finger, which lightly touched Ziohan's forehead while her other hand casually pulled out a book, tilting her head slightly and giving Ziohan a lazy smile. "Speak properly, no touching." "Oh!" Ziohan's ears turned a tad red. Then, as if remembering something, she rolled her eyes at Zhang Shais. Idiot, Zhang shies. The day's classes ended. Bai Lion didn't head to the milk tea shop after school in the evening. Instead, she went to the calligraphy association with Jiang He. The application for the bus stop sign had already been approved, and now they were planning the route. Sis, Jian Ji was moving chairs in the courtyard. Seeing Bai Lion come over, his eyes lit up. Come check out our classroom. The calligraphy association was right next to the gym. Though smaller than the gym, it covered a good acre, and the surrounding rooms had been planned by Qiu Zuzhang as classrooms, offices, reception rooms. Not bad. Bai Lion put down her backpack, then unzipped it and handed Jian Ji a bag of things inside without much effort. Seeing how easily Bai Lion handled it, Jian Ji caught it with one hand. But as he took it, he nearly fell to the ground, swiftly bracing himself against the wall. Jiang He sat on a nearby stool, swinging his legs, expressionless as he watched Jian Ji. What is this? Jian Ji looked down in shock at the dozens of silver metal pieces inside, each the size of a quail egg. Just these few pieces, dozens of pounds. For practicing calligraphy, Bai Lion raised her hand, revealing a crimson ribbon on her wrist and a piece of iridium the size of an egg. You should hang one on yourself daily. She had requested these from Mao Kun a few days ago, and Mao Kun was quick. Of course, Miss Bai was still unaware of the price tag attached to her quail egg-sized item. Jian Ji nodded absent-mindedly. On the outskirts of the city, an abandoned warehouse. Mr. Liu, holding 2 cards in his hand, slowly crouched next to Shen Qing, narrowing his eyes. You like money, don't you? 2 million and you're still not willing. He couldn't understand why with 2 million offered, Shen Qing would say she was unwilling. The profile of Shen Qing described her as greedy for petty gains, vulgar, selfish, and mercenary. He could obviously tell that she was extremely greedy for money. After glancing at the bank card, Shen Qing looked up after a long while, smiling obsequiously. Mr. Liu, the elders in our community. I thought we were of the same kind, but you truly disappoint me, Mr. Liu said with a smile. He stood up, his foot crushing hard on Shen Qing's right hand, and gently tossed the 2 bank cards aside. Shen Qing felt the pain at her fingertips, her features twisted together in an instant. Liu, President Liu. President Liu took pleasure in Shen Qing's painful expression before he stepped back and with a turn of his head said, You guys, come here. 5 minutes later. I didn't expect you to be so tough, he said as he watched Shen Qing collapse to the floor, lighting another cigarette. And now? Shen Qing lifted her head again and spat at President Liu with blood in her saliva. You even cheat the elderly out of their money. And you call yourself a human being, huh? President Liu slowly wiped the spit off his face, his smile unwavering, but his gaze was like a venomous snake hidden in the abyss, much like the python trailing up to his neck. Teach her a good lesson. 9 o'clock in the evening. Jai Mulan, who had just finished taking a bath, received a phone call, almost dropping the towel in her hand. What? She hung up the phone, quickly changed her clothes and scrambled for her coat. What's wrong? Suen had just finished a meeting when he saw Jai Mulan grabbing her coat and heading out the door. My brother, Jai Mulan said with furrowed brows, grabbing her car keys. He's in the hospital right now. My sister-in-law is in emergency. They need panda blood, and I'm the only match. She didn't have a high opinion of Shen Qing, the kind of petty bourgeois who fawned over others for personal gain. But the call was from Jai Sheijun. Emergency? Suen quickly followed her, taking her car keys and handing them to his assistant since he couldn't drive after drinking that evening. Don't panic, I'll go with you. Jai Mulan felt much calmer following behind Suen. They arrived at Xiangcheng Central Hospital. Standing at the entrance, Jai Sheijun rushed towards Jai Mulan as soon as he saw her, pulling her forward without a word. Brother, slow down, Jai Mulan stumbled. What exactly happened? Jai Sheijun didn't say a word. He simply handed Jai Mulan over to the nurse with a deep look. She is panda blood. Please get ready. The nurse rushed Jai Mulan to draw blood, not forgetting to hand the critical condition notice to Jai Sheijun. The patient's condition is very bad. With shaking hands, Jai Sheijun signed his name on the paper. In just half an hour, 3 critical condition notices had been issued. You have to hold on. Suen patted Jai Sheijun's shoulder for comfort, then inquired, What happened to Aunt Alien? If you need any help, just say so. After signing the critical condition notice, Jai Shaojun slumped down against the wall to the floor, without saying a word. Jai Mulin came out soon after having her blood drawn, looking somewhat pale. Where are Shen Qing's family members? The nurse hurried in and out with the blood bag, her urgency clear. The blood isn't enough, and the patient's condition is complicated. She has panda blood. We can't perform the craniotomy. It's best to transfer to an affiliated hospital of Baikeng University or somewhere bigger. We've already helped to apply for a consultation with higher-level hospitals, awaiting their feedback. I suggest you also try to contact hospitals yourselves, and quickly. Transferring hospitals isn't simple. It requires advanced applications and connections. Xiancheng Hospital had already responded to Baikeng, but Shen Qing's condition was indeed complicated, plus she had panda blood. There was no word from the hospital in Baikeng. Su En patted Jai Shaojun's shoulder to comfort him, and then signaled his assistant to make calls to help contact hospitals for Shen Qing. Usually, he only knew the chief physicians in Jiangjing. The assistant sent the medical information Jai Shaojun provided to a doctor, who after reading it said directly, "Tell President Su, it's too far. The patient can't endure the journey and this operation. I'm afraid only the director could do it. I wouldn't dare to operate." Everyone clearly heard the conversation via the assistant's speakerphone. Jai Mulin involuntarily tightened her grip on her coat, a little dazed. Although she didn't like Shen Qing, she didn't want to watch her die on the operating table. Is it really that serious? You can't contact that director either. Jai Mulin looked towards Jai Shaojun and then softly inquired of Su En. Su En's assistant, adjusting his glasses, looked towards Jai Mulin. He knew Jai Mulin. The old lady never recognized her, rumored to have been married and had a problematic daughter. Su En wanted to bring the daughter back home, but the old lady had sarcastically dismissed the idea as wishful thinking. Nevertheless, the assistant treated Jai Mulin straightforwardly and told her the truth. "Madam, that's the director of Jiangjing Hospital, and appointments with him are scheduled until next year. President Su. Even Miss Su would have a hard time seeing him." Jai Mulin didn't know about the situations in Jiangjing, but upon hearing that even Yajin couldn't meet that director, she could roughly understand the gravity. After a long silence, Su En looked at his assistant. "Call the young master. He's at Jiangjing University. He might know some people." The assistant hesitated, knowing that disturbing the young master would trigger criticism from the old lady. But in the end, he went to make contact anyway. "Thank you." Jai Shaojun sat on the ground, his eyes hollow as he looked at the emergency room. "It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Where are Shen Qing's family members? We're short of blood for the patient." Jai Mulin quickly stepped forward. The nurse glanced at her and shook her head. "You can't draw any more." Jai Mulin had already been drained of quite a bit of blood, her head buzzing. She remembered that Bai Lion had blocked her number and asked Su En to make the call. "Hurry, Alien. Alien also has Rh-negative blood." Bai Lion arrived at the hospital after 10 o'clock. She had already changed out of her school uniform and was wearing a white house dress, her face expressionless, ignoring everyone as she went with the nurse to have her blood drawn. The nurse carefully inserted the needle into her arm, and the dark red blood climbed up the transparent tube. Halfway through, the nurse was about to remove the needle. Bai Lion's arm was still on the table, the faintly visible greenish veins just beginning to show as she had kept her eyes downcast. She only then slightly lifted her gaze, revealing depths that were extremely deep and cold, and then spoke her first words. "Continue." The words seemed to shatter into ice, one by one. The nurse knew that drawing more blood would harm the donor's body, but the look in Bai Lion's eyes startled her, and she shakily drew 2 more tubes. Finally, mustering her courage, she spoke up. "You really can't draw anymore." "Thank you." Bai Lion lowered her sleeve and stood up. The call was urgent. Bai Lion hadn't told Jai Heng. She had come alone. Outside, Jai Shaojun was intermittently talking to Su En about something, and when they saw Bai Lion come out, both involuntarily stopped their conversation. "How is Auntie?" Bai Lion stood in front of Jai Shaojun, looking at the emergency room where resuscitation was underway. Jai Shaojun was burying his head in his knees, silent, while Su-en stepped in to explain. "Your auntie accidentally fell down the stairs." "Stairs?" Bai Lion nodded. Su-en made an affirming sound. Bai Lion didn't ask any more questions, nor did she know whether to believe him. "Shen Qing's family? Where is Shen Qing's family?" A nurse came out from the emergency room holding a form. "Have you contacted the hospital? The patient needs to undergo craniotomy surgery as soon as possible, or there is a risk of evolving into a vegetative state." Jai Shaojun abruptly got to his feet. Su-en quickly turned back, urging his assistant, "Have you contacted the young master?" The assistant returned with the phone in hand, just as helpless in response to Su-en's prodding. "The young master is also trying to find a way, but the director is not someone who can be approached by just anyone." "So what do we do now?" Jai Mulin was somewhat panicked. Bai Lion, understanding the meaning of vegetative state, lifted her eyes, more composed than anyone present. "Give me the diagnosis." The nurse was taken aback. She instinctively handed the diagnostic report to Bai Lion. Bai Lion took it, glanced over it quickly. Many of the technical terms she had never heard of: titanium mesh implantation in the skull, cerebrospinal fluid leakage. Without examining it closely, she simply took out her phone and snapped a few photos. She opened WeChat and sent them to Lance. "Bai Lion, help me look at this." After sending, she handed the diagnostic report back to the nurse. Next to her, Su-en's assistant looked at Bai Lion's actions with surprise. Was she going to post it online for crowdfunding or ask for medical advice on Kyandu? The people from the Jai family seemed pretty unreliable. Jai Shaojun wiped his face and, after signing the necessary documents, looked at Bai Lion with a calmness that bordered on a whisper. "Alien, you still have school tomorrow. You should go back and rest. Don't worry about your auntie. She'll be all right." He almost muttered the words. Su-en and the assistant moved aside to discuss affairs related to Jiangjing Hospital. It was only then that Jai Mulin asked Jai Shaojun, "It wasn't a fall down the stairs, was it? Why don't you tell the truth to Su-en?" "Yangfu residential area. It must have been that President Liu. I've already called the police, but there's been no response." Jai Shaojun tugged at his lips, looking at Jai Mulin with an expression that was both calm and crazed. "So, do you think Su-en would confront them? Or did you really think that with your relationship with him, he would be willing to antagonize someone with such a deep background for our sake? And then drag Dad and Alien into it too?" Jai Shaojun had long known that President Liu was not a good person. But what he hadn't expected was that Shen Qing would get caught up in it. One Shen Qing was enough for him. He didn't want to drag the whole Jai family into this. Calling Jai Mulin and Bai Lion was solely because of their blood type. "What?" Jai Mulin's mind was in a whirl, immediately recalling the person Su-en had mentioned. She stood still for a while. Her heart was a mess. It couldn't be that President Liu, could it? Jiangjing, Su-en's family home. Madame Su sat up from bed, draping a coat over her shoulders as she left the room, her cold gaze sweeping over the butler. "Su-en is confused, and so are you. Don't you know that he's currently focused on an experiment at the Ma Institute, and you disturb him for such a trivial matter?" The butler lowered his head, a wry smile on his lips. It was the Sir's request. "Su-en," Madame Su scoffed. "He's gone mad over a woman, running off to a place like Xiancheng. Has he achieved anything remarkable? And now, he's even interfering with his son's critical future. For the sake of a nonsensical woman, to disturb the development of the Su family's future heir. If Su-en had been in front of the old lady, she would have beaten him to death with her walking stick." The butler did not utter a word, daring not to speak a sentence. "Intercept Su-en's calls for me," the old Mrs. Su said, her eyes lowered, her hands twirling the Buddha beads. "If I hear he's called the young master again, you all pack your bags and get out." Whatever Jai Mulin is, whatever the Jai family is, whatever stepdaughter, old Mrs. Su wouldn't acknowledge any of it. Even if Su-en were to marry her, she wouldn't let that woman set foot in the Su family's house. "Rest assured," the butler bowed and withdrew. He set about arranging the matter. At the hospital, the assistant, unable to get through with the phone, looked helplessly at Su-en. Su-en, without having to think, knew who had interfered with this matter. He rubbed his forehead. "Find another way." He went downstairs and paid a significant amount for Shen Qing's surgery and also upgraded her to a VIP ward. As for the rest, they could only leave it to fate. The craniotomy hadn't yet been done, and Jai Shaejun was there, keeping vigil through the night. Su-en and Jai Mulin went back first. On the way, Jai Mulin brought up the matter with CEO Liu. That CEO Liu my brother mentioned. Yangfu residential area? Su-en gasped in shock, sitting up straight. That same CEO Liu, whom Su-en had been trying to get involved with but had never managed to meet. Listen to me. Su-en's mind worked quickly as he looked gravely at Jai Mulin, repeatedly urging her. You must persuade your brother not to report to the police anymore. Act as if this never happened. Get them to sign the agreement as soon as possible. Otherwise, the whole residential area will be in trouble. I will do my best to help you find a doctor. If that CEO Liu were just an ordinary businessman, it would be okay. But you also know he's supported by that bar on Baxter Street, a player on the international boundaries, ruthless. Not only Jiang Cheng, I can't afford to offend him either. Jai Mulin had never heard Su-en speak with such gravity. From Jiang Cheng to Bai Keng, then to Jiangjing. Jai Mulin always thought she had seen far enough, only to realize that she had barely seen 1% of the world. I'll talk to him tomorrow, she said, slowly lowering her head. Purist Street. When Bai Lion returned, it was already 12 o'clock. Lance, the little old man, was on a different time zone from her. It was still morning there, and his replies came quickly. Lance, look at this, such a beautiful CT image of a cranial trauma. Lance, I can almost see a standard paper being produced by my student. Lance, Bai, where did you find such a textbook-like cranial trauma image? Lance, oh my God. And it's the rare Rh-negative blood. This surgery needs to be absolutely flawless. The success rate is virtually 0%. Such a shame. The cranial repair was a minor issue, but because of Shen Qing's rare blood type, it increased the risk from 50% to 99.9%, because the repair process could not afford even the slightest mistake. Bai Lion gently closed the door, looking at Jai Heng in the center room, who had not been awakened, and let out a slight breath of relief. Unable to sleep, she sat at the desk, pulling out physics problems to calm herself. When she saw Lance's reply, she had just finished a major problem. She glanced at it and replied to Lance with 3 words, my aunt. There was a pause from Lance's end, no messages, probably looking up what aunt meant. After 10 seconds, Lance withdrew a message, Lance withdrew a message, Lance withdrew a message, Lance withdrew a message, Lance. Look at this heartbreaking news. Lance, note that although the skull is severely damaged, it's not to the point that surgery cannot be attempted, Lance. Of course, a 0% success rate, that's for other doctors. Bai Lion got his point directly. What about you? Lance, mind your words, you're talking to Lance, the top surgical hand in the field. Lance was very arrogant. 100%. Bai Lion did not doubt Lance's medical skills. Medicine knows no borders. After exchanging information for so long, they both were well aware of each other's medical expertise. Lance had realized the breadth and depth of Chinese medicine, and Bai Lion had reconciled with Western medicine, understanding that it had almost replaced Chinese medicine domestically in just a few hundred years for good reason. She realized the essence of the issue was not to resist Western medicine, but to promote Chinese medicine. Learning that Lance could perform the surgery, she breathed a sigh of relief. Bai Lion, can you come? Lance did not hesitate on his end. He had been curious about Chinese medicine and wanted to try acupuncture with Bai Lion to see if it could cure his myopia. Now it was just a matter of arriving a few days earlier. Lance, then you have to give me acupuncture. Bai Lion, 1 Lance, I'm on my way. She sent the Jiang Cheng address to Lance. Finally, they all let out a sigh of relief. Lance was abroad, and even if he took a flight right now, he wouldn't arrive until tomorrow at the earliest. Bai Lion hardly slept that night. The next day, it was rare for her not to ask Jai Heng any questions, and she left the house with her backpack at 6 in the morning. At 6:30, on the first floor of Jiang Cheng Hospital, a group of people was talking to the nurse at the front desk, led by an old lady leaning on a walking stick. She stared at the shiny nurse's station, hesitant to speak, and it took her a long while to step forward carefully and ask, "Nurse, we're all here to donate blood for Shen Qing. Where can we give blood?" Behind her were construction workers with safety helmets, a middle-aged couple who had started selling breakfast early and hadn't even taken off their aprons, and underage kids who had come with their parents. "Yes, nurse, where do we go?" The worker took off his helmet, revealing his dark face full of urgency. "I heard she was seriously hurt." "Hurry, nurse." Someone directly rolled up their sleeve. "Take mine, I have a lot of blood." About 100 people all surged forward. It was quite a sight. Yangfu residential area was an old community where people had lived for decades, especially the older generations who knew each other very well. "Grandma, your blood can't be taken." The nurse at the station had never encountered such a situation and was somewhat flustered. She stood up and then shouted, "Everyone wait, don't make noise, line up, and I will inquire about the situation." The line immediately formed an orderly queue from the nurse station stretched very long, all the way to the hospital entrance. Bai Lion had intended to go directly to the elevator. Hearing the name Shen Qing, she paused in her steps, turned her head, and looked back at the long line of people at the door through the crowd. After a long moment, she stepped forward and approached the old lady in front. "Grandma, I am Shen Qing's niece. Are you all here to donate blood for her?" The old lady was a resident from Building 7, ground floor. Squinting at Bai Lion, she recognized her immediately. Excitedly grasping Bai Lion's hand, she said, "I know you, young lady. How is your aunt now? Don't worry, we've been looking for people in the community and they will all come to donate blood soon." "It's okay," Bai Lion steadied her, then said softly to the people behind her, "My aunt needs panda blood. If any of you have panda blood, I, on behalf of my uncle and aunt, thank you in advance. If not, you can go back. Don't worry, my aunt will be fine here." "That's good." The old woman let out a sigh of relief, clutching Bai Lion's arm. "That damn Lu Zong." Bai Lion hesitated for a moment, lowering her lashes. "Lu Zong?" "Yes, the one who wants to buy our community, a fierce and evil-looking man." The old lady grumbled while tapping her cane. "Such bad karma, our community." Bai Lion nodded, her dark pupils reflecting the hospital's cold floor. She turned and headed for the elevator. At the hospital entrance, another dozen or so people who had just finished moving goods came in. They were sweating profusely, wiped their brows briefly, and asked, "Where can we donate blood for Shen Qing?" "Young folks, right here. They say they need panda blood. Does anyone know their own blood type? It's quick to get checked." In the ICU, Jai Shaojun stood outside the window. Not far away, Jai Mulin and Su En had also arrived early. A doctor, having received Su En's earnest request, held the medical records and was explaining to Su En and Jai Shaojun. "With our current technology, we can only observe in the ICU. You are aware of Miss Shen's condition. Her blood type is rare, and there are very few who dare to take the risk of operating in the country. It's just a matter of days now. You must be prepared for her brain death." As for what preparations, the doctor's meaning was very clear. Jai Mulin looked towards Su En. Su En gave a wry smile. "I can't get in touch with that dean." Jai Shaojun's gaze calmly shifted towards the ICU, the depths of his eyes brewing a storm. "Uncle," Bai Lion stood beside Jai Shaojun, dressed in her school uniform, her hair tied up messily at the back of her head. Her eyebrows and eyes drooped, speaking almost as calmly as a light breeze. "That Lu Zong is still in Xiangcheng, right? My aunt ended up like this because of him?" That sentence made everyone present shiver. Jai Shaojun quickly turned his head, looking at Bai Lion with great nervousness. "Who told you this? What Lu Zong? Alien, you're just a student. Don't get involved in this matter, just focus on your studies. Your aunt is fine now." Bai Lion silently watched Jai Shaojun for a while, did not answer, and said almost nonchalantly, "I'm going to class." She turned and went downstairs. 7 o'clock, downstairs at the hospital. Director Chen's car hurriedly stopped. He got anxious as soon as he received a call from Bai Lion and rushed over. He immediately spotted Bai Lion leaning against a tree. "Miss Bai?" He got out of the car. Bai Lion placed her backpack at her feet. She wore an open blue and white school uniform, her arms crossed over her chest as she calmly leaned against the tree, watching the traffic with a tranquil gaze. A breeze passed, and her stray hair fluttered as if it were the low pressure before a storm. So oppressive it was hard to breathe. "You're here," Bai Lion extended her hand, slowly plucked a withered yellow leaf that had fallen on her arm. There's a Lu Zong who wants to buy Yangfu residential area. Do you know him? No matter when or where, Bai Lion was always languid and easygoing, and Director Chen had always thought she had a good temper. This was the first time he faced her tempest. He belatedly realized that facing such a Bai Lion, the pressure was no less than facing Jiang Fulai in a furious state. Director Chen responded very cautiously. I don't know him. That's good. Bai Lion tilted her head slightly, looking at Director Chen with a smile on her lips but frost in her eyes. The pressure she emitted was menacing. I want all his information. Chief Chen didn't dare to ask at this moment how Director Lu had offended Bai Lion. Miss Bai, rest assured. Chief Chen's mind spun rapidly. It's just a background check. I will make sure to investigate thoroughly. Even his ancestors won't be able to escape. Bai Lion bent down, picked up her backpack, her eyelashes lowered, and she thanked him at an unhurried pace. Thank you. Chief Chen didn't dare accept Bai Lion's thanks. Such a small matter, and the several suggestions Bai Lion had given him had made him feel on top of the world recently. He stood still, watching Bai Lion leave, and waited until she boarded the bus. Only then did Chief Chen wipe the sweat from his brow, unable to help thinking, would Bai Lion have torn him apart as well if he had known that Director Lu? After that thought, he shivered with cold. He immediately placed a phone call to look into the issues at Yangfu residential area and that Lu's surname, who truly seemed to have a death wish. Then he called Jai Shaojun. Jai Shaojun's words were vague, only mentioning that Shen Qing was currently in the hospital and sticking to the same story, that she'd fallen down some stairs. Nothing more was said. Linking this to Bai Lion's reaction, Chief Chen almost instantly guessed. This matter must be related to that Director Lu. This Jiang Cheng, Chief Chen said as he dialed Jiang Fulai's number. Why is it always causing me such trouble? He returned to his car, his demeanor incredibly stern. This Lu surname, he's done for. School. Pu Ziohen saw Bai Lion and originally wanted to share the news that her video had gone viral. But as her eyes lifted, she saw Bai Lion enter with a wrapping of coldness. Bai Lion gently placed her backpack on the desk, her black hair gathered behind her head, and those black pupils seemed to swallow all light. The tranquil atmosphere spread outward from her at the center. Even the usually oblivious Zhang Shais sensed something was off and became quiet. The physics teacher came to class and found the usually lively class eerily quiet. That's how it should be. Everyone is doing very well today, Zhang Shais included. The physics teacher was very pleased. Zhang Shais, with his head lowered, was inwardly cursing. He was just scared. Pu Ziohen passed Bai Lion a note during class, asking her what was wrong. Bai Lion held the note and wrote back briefly, stating that Shen Qing was still in emergency care, but in need of panda blood. Pu Ziohen took the note back and, looking at the reply, took a secret photo of it with her phone after class. One big bowl per meal. The young lady who played the guzheng yesterday, her aunt is in emergency care. Are there any friends with Rh negative blood nearby? Zion Cheng. Praying hands. Praying hands. Praying hands. Picture she hadn't yet shared the good news that her video had gone viral with Bai Lion. She gained 200,000 followers overnight, with views surpassing 5 million and still rapidly increasing. Her comment section became active again as soon as she posted the video. Alien, Pu Ziohen looked back down. Do you have your aunt's medical certification? Bai Lion, resting her chin on her hand, quietly gazed out the window. At the sound of the voice, she tilted her head. And sent Ziohen the photo she had taken the day before. The photo contained Shen Qing's information and the name of the hospital. At noon, Bai Lion didn't join them for lunch. She took her phone and left the school. In class 15, Pu Ziohen gazed at Bai Lion's retreating figure and murmured, "Her aunt must be very ill." Zhang Shais also frowned, scratching his head. "It's a pity I'm not panda blood, I'm type B." Pu Ziohen, busy replying to messages from concerned people, felt annoyed and dismissed him. That suits you well." The whole class inquired, but not one was panda blood. The entire class 15 proceeded to ask other people and their families. At midday, the sun was beating down fiercely. Bai Lion had taken off her uniform and walked out of the school gate with her head down. She walked straight to the bus stop until a familiar car parked to the left of the school gate honked its horn, causing Bai Lion to halt. She looked up and saw the familiar car. Changing her path, she walked over, opened the passenger door, and got in. After fastening her seatbelt, she casually placed her coat on her lap and propped her elbow against the car window. Jiang Fulai watched her quietly, her complexion even paler from the excessive blood drawn the night before. Neither spoke, as Jiang Fulai started the car and, without asking where she wanted to go, drove straight to Jiangcheng Hospital. At 12 o'clock, Bai Lion received a message from Lance. The two only communicated on WeChat, although Lance had called her that morning. His grasp on Chinese was mediocre at best, reading the text with difficulty and speaking rather laboriously, so they reverted to WeChat for communication. Lance had arrived in Baikeng.